Detectives are on the hunt after a mother suddenly vanishes, causing an alarm within her family in Chattanooga, Tennessee. When calls go unanswered and her daily routine is interrupted, her loved ones grow increasingly concerned. As detectives initiate their search for her, their lives are irrevocably changed. What could have happened, and what happens when love becomes fatal? This is the Fatal Attraction Podcast with Justice Served Cold.
August 18th, 1997. It's a beautiful Monday morning in Chattanooga, Tennessee, a cozy city on the banks of the Tennessee River.
Chattanooga is the fourth largest city here in Tennessee. It's a growing city. It's a bustling city.
We call it the scenic city because it's absolutely beautiful. We have the river, we have the mountains all around us.
There's lots to do here, whether it's hiking or anything on the water.
But instead of enjoying the summer weather, 40-year-old Michael Wilson has just arrived at his parents' home at 8:30 a.m. after receiving an alarming call from them.
Hey guys, it's Uncle Michael. I'm here.
They needed him to check on his niece and nephew who were living there with their mom.
Hey, Uncle Michael.
The children's mother and Michael's sister, 28-year-old Vicky Carr, is nowhere to be found.
Vicky's 9-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter wake up to discover that their mom is not home.
When they couldn't find her, they called their grandparents.
Since Michael's parents were out of town on vacation, they had asked him to intervene.
It was unlike Vicky to not be there in the mornings when her kids woke up.
Thankfully, Michael lived close by and was able to get there quickly to check up on them.
Everything's gonna be all right. I'm sure she just wanted to work early, okay?
However, when Michael calls the office where his sister works, it's his turn to panic.
They notify him that she has not arrived for work, which is immediately alarming.
Are you absolutely sure?
She showed up to work every day on time.
Her disappearing, leaving her 2 small children with no supervision was very much unlike her.
He called the Chattanooga Police Department and reported her as a missing person.
Yes, I think something might have happened to my sister.
For Vicky Carr, the scenic city of Chattanooga was a great place to live.
She was loved by the community, had a lot of friends and family.
Vicky was very bubbly, very friendly, and everybody just loved Vicky.
Vicky got married young and had 2 children, but the relationship with their father didn't work out.
Being a single mom wasn't easy, but Vicky worked hard to make a great life for her and her kids.
Victoria was going out there and trying to make ends meet and provide for her family.
Eventually, she got a really good job with the city government.
Getting the position with the housing authority was a game changer for her.
But Vicky wanted more.
She wanted her kids to have a solid father figure in their lives, that traditional family unit.
She was still a young woman, and she was looking for love and a partner who would be there for her.
In the spring of 1991, Vicky found what she'd been looking for when she crossed paths with 22-year-old LeBron Hollingsworth.
Hey, I think this belongs to you.
Thank you. It can be so hard wrangling these 2 by myself.
No worries, I love kids. What's their name?
When Vicky met LeBron, he really swept her off her feet.
He was so great with her children and didn't seem intimidated by them at all, like some men were.
I'd love to take you out sometime if you're free.
Really?
Yeah.
She finds someone that is offering her love, that seems nice, and wants to be a part of her children's life.
Before long, the couple's first date blossomed into a lasting relationship, and just a few years later, they tied the knot.
She was really excited. He was everything she ever wanted.
As a single parent, you're doing everything, and now you have someone to come in and provide some support. They now have the American dream.
However, the pressure of maintaining that dream started to become too much.
After less than a year, Vicky and LeBron felt like their relationship was already beginning to feel a bit stale.
Between work and kids, they really didn't have much time for each other, and they started to grow apart.
The couple eventually went their separate ways.
Vicky and her kids moved in with her parents until she could find her own place, but she and LeBron still remained very close.
It seemed like the time apart was healthy for them, and they may eventually patch things up.
But the couple's second chance at love is now at stake when Vicky goes missing on August 18th, 1997.
Vicky's family was really concerned.
No one can provide answers. No one knows where she is.
After Vicky's brother, Michael, submits the official missing persons report, Chattanooga police arrive at the home to conduct their own search.
They didn't notice anything unusual. There was no forced entry into the home. There was nothing that looked out of place.
There was nothing in the house that led the police to believe that there was any foul play.
But it's a different story outside.
They did notice right away that her car was still parked out in the driveway.
Which was another mystery. But Vicky's gone. Why is her car here?
The car was also left unlocked, which seemed odd.
When investigators open the door, they make yet another puzzling discovery.
You smell that?
There was an extreme smell of something like gasoline.
It's overwhelming, concerning, and it raises additional questions about where is Vicky, what's happening, what's going on.
The police are thinking that perhaps Vicky's car was used to transport her somewhere.
And they're afraid it was a one-way trip.
Our missing persons division decided early on that something really bad had occurred.
In a gripping tale of intrigue, tireless detectives come together to unravel the mystery of the betrayal. Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
Although 28-year-old Vicky Carr had recently separated from her husband, LeBron Hollingsworth, it appeared the couple might reconcile.
It seemed like that time apart was a good thing and might help them find that spark again.
But now, Vicky has gone missing, and police have already found possible signs of foul play.
When the police looked inside of her car, they were hit with a really strong gas smell.
It was as if someone had doused the car in gasoline, like they were planning to set it on fire.
However, other than the overwhelming smell of gasoline, investigators don't find any evidence inside the vehicle.
They did not discover any evidence of foul play. There was no bloodstains or even gasoline cans.
The only other notable item found in the vicinity of Vicky's car is a branch that's wedged into the rear bumper.
The investigators looked around and didn't see any bushes or trees in Vicky's yard that matched the branch.
There's no branches or any bushes that are damaged in her driveway.
It made it appear like the car may have been driving through a wooded area recently.
It might not mean much. Vicky herself could have driven through a wooded area before she went missing, but the investigators still took that branch into evidence.
After concluding their search of the vehicle, detectives turned to Vicky's brother, Michael Wilson.
Can you think of any reason why she would leave without telling anyone?
No, not at all.
He told them that she was an amazing mother and there is no way that she would have just abandoned her children and not told anyone anything.
She would never leave them alone.
When detectives ask Michael if there's anyone else who might know of his sister's whereabouts, he suggests they talk to her husband, LeBron Hollingsworth.
They've been separated for a while.
The news that Vicky and LeBron recently separated raises an immediate red flag for detectives.
Whenever a woman disappears and there's a possibility of foul play, a husband or a boyfriend is always the person of interest, especially if there are problems in the relationship.
I can give you his number if you want to reach out to him.
Detectives are able to contact LeBron, and he agrees to meet them at the station for an interview.
Do you have any idea where she could be? She hasn't answered her phone all day.
He seems very devastated and concerned about his wife missing.
He's also forthcoming about the fact that they've had problems.
Well, now we've heard you two have separated.
I don't think it's for good. We still got something, you know?
He explains to them that their relationship is going pretty well, given that they're separated, and that's why he's very hopeful of those reconciliation.
How'd you initially find out about her going missing?
Her brother called me, but I knew something wasn't right.
According to LeBron, he still saw Vicky every weekday.
LeBron didn't have a car at the time, so Vicky would help transport him where he needed to go.
Vicky comes and picks him up every morning for work at 5 o'clock in the morning.
But LeBron says this morning had been different.
Vicky did not show up to take him to work.
That's when I knew something was off.
LeBron told the police that when Vicky didn't show up at 5 a.m. to pick him up, he called her and continued doing so throughout the course of an hour.
He couldn't reach her. He called. She didn't answer. He waited, still unable to reach her.
I ended up calling somebody else for a ride.
He has no idea where she is, where she could be.
However, LeBron claims he knows someone who might.
He then discloses that Vicky had been seeing another man.
His name is Virgil Atkins. He's an old friend of hers.
It's a name the investigators haven't heard before.
How do you feel about her seeing someone else with you two trying to make things up?
Well, I don't feel great about it, but I mean, I can't blame her.
They were both involved with other people.
He said they felt like it was natural to explore other options before deciding where they wanted to go with their relationship.
However, LeBron claims Virgil wasn't so understanding.
According to LeBron, Virgil didn't like it that he and Vicky were still in each other's lives.
He wanted Vicky to end things with me and officially commit to him.
But that's not the only cause for concern.
LeBron said Vicky was with Virgil the evening before she disappeared.
LeBron witnessed the two of them riding around town in Virgil's truck.
That makes us suspicious.
Virgil may have been one of the last people to see Vicky before she went missing.
Vicky Carr's estranged husband, LeBron Hollingsworth, has just told the detectives investigating her disappearance that the 28-year-old mother of two has a new man in her life, 36-year-old Virgil Atkins.
According to LeBron, Virgil didn't like it that he and Vicky were on the mend and trying to work on their relationship.
LeBron tells investigators he saw her 24 hours prior to her disappearance riding around with Virgil.
Virgil may have been one of the last people to see Vicky before she went missing.
Which makes speaking with him detectives' next priority.
After wrapping up their interview with LeBron, detectives immediately reached out to Virgil.
Virgil agrees to meet them at the station for an interview.
I want to talk about Vicky.
Okay.
Police ask him the nature of his relationship with Vicky.
Virgil tells the police that he has known Vicky for a very long time.
She lived around the corner from me. She was a little girl.
Okay.
And when I did see her again, I had just got back from being over the Middle East at Desert Storm.
But when detectives ask if he and Vicky are dating, Virgil says they have it all wrong.
Virgil adamantly denies that he is having a relationship with Vicky.
We never dated. We always have remained friends.
He reiterates that it was completely platonic and that there was no romantic intention. But he was very curious as to why someone would have said that they were in a romantic relationship.
How'd my name come up?
When detectives tell him about LeBron's account, Virgil seems frustrated.
Virgil tells them that LeBron is incredibly jealous.
According to Virgil, LeBron didn't like Vicky being friends with him.
He has accused her of cheating because he believes that the two of them are engaging in a romantic relationship.
But Virgil swears that's not true.
Virgil was essentially telling them the reverse of what LeBron was telling them in his interview.
Virgil tells detectives he's witnessed LeBron's erratic behavior firsthand.
About a month earlier, Vicky and Virgil were hanging out on the front porch of the parents' home and realized that they were not alone.
LeBron rode past several times, circling the block.
He kept riding back and forth down the street.
He circled around several times, staring at them and screaming things.
You don't think I know what you've been up to?
He kept making threats of what he was going to do to her.
What's he say?
Oh, Carl, he's going to hurt her. He's going to do this to her. If I catch you, I'm going to do this.
You better pray I don't catch all of that.
What is he even talking about?
Virgil is very alarmed that his friend would find herself with a very violent man.
Just leave, LeBron. Go!
Did you ever see any injuries on her, sir?
Oh, man. I've seen a couple of bruises on the arm and the leg, around the neck, seen that.
But detectives aren't taking Virgil's story at face value just yet.
They asked Virgil if he was with Vicky on Sunday, the day before she disappeared, like LeBron had claimed.
No, I come home every day. There's no way possible that she could be in trouble with me. There's only one seat and it's just a day camp. That's all I can tell you.
After wrapping up their interview with Virgil, detectives decide to take a closer look at LeBron.
The next thing they do is they run his criminal history.
And what they find raises more red flags.
He has domestic violence incidents that he's been involved in previously.
What they discover absolutely validates what Virgil suggested. LeBron was a very violent man.
But before the detectives can arrange a second interview with LeBron, they get a visit from a woman named Claudia Rubens.
Claudia was Vicky's boss at the Chattanooga Housing Authority.
Claudia says when she heard Vicky had gone missing, she knew she needed to speak with police immediately.
She said it was because of something Vicky had told her.
Vicky was convinced that LeBron was going to ultimately kill her.
She was really afraid of him.
Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Vicky Carr have learned that her estranged husband, LeBron Hollingsworth, may have been abusing her.
You don't think I know what you've been up to?
And now Vicky's boss, Claudia Rubens, is revealing even more about the troubled marriage.
Vicky told her that he was trying to get her back and that she was not going to go back to LeBron.
She was really afraid of him. She wasn't going to see him anymore.
Claudia echoes Vicky's friend, Virgil Atkins' claims that LeBron was incapable of letting Vicky go.
He had been stalking her, harassing her.
He was very jealous. He didn't want her to have anyone else, no one else to have her.
Claudia tells detectives that the Friday before Vicky went missing, LeBron had been blowing up her work phone.
It's LeBron again.
Can't you just block his number or something?
I'm just going to get it over with. Hello?
He just kept calling. So she decided she would go to lunch with him and maybe that'll get him off of her back.
She didn't really want to go, but she did because he insisted. When she came back from lunch, she had a bouquet of roses with her.
She had 11 red roses. Not 12, but 11. And I thought it was so odd for somebody to give someone 11 roses and not a dozen.
I think it's a sign.
A sign of what?
Vicky let her know the roses could be interpreted as sinister, as something that is not romantic.
She told me that 11 roses was a sign of death. She said that her mom was an older lady, and that's what she always told her.
To her, this is his way of letting her know that I control you, and if you're no longer with me, you will be with no one else.
When she got off from work, the last thing I said to her was to be careful.
And when Vicky didn't show up to work on Monday morning, Claudia's fears became all too real.
She was very concerned that something bad had happened to Vicky and that her husband, LeBron, had had something to do with it.
Claudia's statement seems to bolster Virgil's version of events.
It was starting to become clear that LeBron was the one who was jealous and controlling, not Virgil.
So police make him the number one suspect.
It's clear LeBron is feeling the heat.
When detectives reached out to speak to him again, he wasn't responding.
But investigators aren't wasting any time.
They obtain a search warrant for LeBron's home.
When police arrive at the residence, LeBron is nowhere to be found. But they discover something else that piques their interest.
There is a small bush that looks like it may have been ran over by a car.
This bush looks like the branch that was found lodged underneath Vicky's car in her driveway.
And that's not all.
They see there's tire tracks leading to the back of LeBron's house.
The tire tracks went straight back towards what I would call a storage shed. The cadaver dog immediately walked from the driveway to the storage shed in the back and hid on the shed.
As investigators make their way over to the shed, they're expecting the worst.
All signs pointed to Vicky's body being inside, so they prepared themselves for a gruesome discovery.
However, inside the shed, they don't immediately find anything out of the ordinary.
Law enforcement used luminol, different types of chemicals, to see if there was any blood or bodily fluids there. There weren't any.
They don't find any DNA, any blood, any signs of a struggle.
Even though the shed doesn't provide any sign of Vicky's whereabouts, the cadaver dog's reaction still gives investigators pause.
The cadaver dog would hit on the odor of a decomposing body.
The investigators are now losing the hope that they've been holding on to, that they would find Vicky alive.
Police don't find any useful evidence inside the house either, so they decide to start canvassing the neighborhood for potential witnesses.
LeBron told us that Vicky did not show up to take him to work that morning. Well, we talked to one of the neighbors, and she said around 5, that same loud vehicle that comes up most mornings came to the house.
Shortly thereafter, she heard a shouting match between a man and a woman.
She says, I heard the female say, "Give me my effing keys."
The neighbor says she didn't stick around to witness any more of the fight.
She needed to get to work, so she got in her car and got out of there.
Detectives don't know exactly what happened between the couple the morning of Vicky's disappearance, but all the evidence is pointing in one direction.
The police are convinced at this point that LeBron did something to Vicky.
The hit from the cadaver dog, the argument the neighbor overheard, LeBron's history of violence, and his attempt to hide the truth all point toward LeBron having something to do with whatever happened to Vicky.
Once LeBron is clued in to the fact that he's now the prime suspect in Vicky's disappearance, he becomes combative.
He refused to speak with detectives and didn't want to cooperate with law enforcement.
Regardless, detectives try to move forward with what they have.
They present the local district attorney's office with all of the evidence that they have gathered, but the district attorney says that it's just not enough information to go through with prosecuting LeBron.
It's hard to convict someone of murder without a body.
There are cases of no-body homicides that have been prosecuted successfully, but they're very, very difficult. So you don't want to jump the gun as bad as you want to make that arrest.
Unable to officially charge LeBron, The case goes cold.
The investigators know that in their gut that LeBron is responsible for Vicky's death, and they're devastated that they're unable to find the evidence that they need.
They need to find her body.
But nearly 2 years later, on May 29th, 1999, investigators will finally get one step closer to doing just that.
A woman was doing some yard work, cleaning out her wheat bed.
Her dog had been running around the neighborhood while she worked, and the dog returned holding something in its mouth.
Here.
It was a human skull.
New secrets are unfolding, illuminating more mysteries. Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
Police in Chattanooga, Tennessee have long suspected that LeBron Hollingsworth is responsible for his wife Vicky's August 1997 disappearance.
They had evidence that he had an argument with Vicky on the morning she disappeared, but the district attorney decided there wasn't enough to bring charges.
But now, 2 years later, they may have the missing piece of the puzzle.
On May 29th, 1999, a woman discovers a skull in her backyard and immediately calls the authorities.
It appears the dog brought back the skull and left it in the yard.
Her yard backed up to a forested area that the locals called Billy Goat Hill.
Billy Goat Hill. It was basically an area in Chattanooga that people would throw abandoned tires, water heaters, stoves, things like that.
Okay, we'll be right there.
I don't know why, but I pretty much knew when I heard this is going to be Vicky.
Let's go. They found a skull.
Really?
Yep, let's go.
Within the hour, the area is covered in crime scene tape.
The investigators bring over cadaver dogs to take a look around.
The cadaver dogs lead the police to a pile of rubbish and trash bags.
Underneath that debris, they discover additional skeletal remains.
There were scattered bones. It was a very shallow grave, if you want to call it that.
When the remains are sent to the medical examiner, investigators' suspicions are confirmed.
They are able to confirm that the skeletal remains belong to Vicky.
He says, I see a mark on the jawbone. And he says, I believe this looks like probably from a knife wound,
which indicates that she was stabbed in the back of the neck.
Her death is officially ruled a homicide.
It made the need to make an arrest in this just that much more front and center. We knew that LeBron killed Vicky.
But can they prove it?
There's nothing really there in this new discovery that links it to LeBron.
Despite finding Vicky's body, everything is circumstantial.
The district attorney felt like more concrete evidence was needed to ensure a conviction against LeBron.
So the case remains open, and the years continue to pass.
We just tried to continue to add more things to it. That's pretty much what happened over the next several years.
They go on for years and years and years with no answers, with no justice.
Meanwhile, LeBron Hollingsworth moves on with his life.
Since Vicky's disappearance, he's moved to Amarillo, Texas.
He had gone to Texas and was remarried and was working as an iron worker out of a local union.
But in 2013, Detective Phillips gets an unexpected call from another investigator named Steve Spingola that will change everything.
I do some work for a television show called Cold Justice, where we basically take a look at cold cases.
Cold Justice essentially seeks to reopen cases that have been cold for a while. They try to uncover new evidence that will lead to a conviction.
When we were contacted by Cold Justice, this is the first case that came to my mind.
Chattanooga investigators agreed to join forces with the Cold Justice team.
We went down there, we interviewed a number of people, we worked with the police department and the DA's office.
They start by taking a fresh look at the forensic samples taken from Vicky's car back in 1997.
The DNA testing capabilities have improved significantly.
They're able to find Vicky's blood in her car.
The police now know, based on DNA testing, that Vicky's body was in fact in her car.
Although it explains how LeBron may have transported Vicky's remains to Billy Goat Hill, it still doesn't directly connect him to the crime.
There's still not enough evidence that points directly to LeBron. And so police went back to interview previous people that they've interviewed, as well as new people.
We were able to go out and find a few ex-girlfriends. We were able to get information about things that they had gone through with LeBron.
All of the ex-girlfriends said that he had a jealous streak if they just looked at another man, they set him off.
But the interviews still don't provide a direct link between LeBron and the remains found on Billy Goat Hill. Until investigators sit down with a woman named Candace Reeves.
Is this in reference to a young lady that got killed years ago?
It is.
Candace Reeves confirms that she was in a relationship with LeBron. She met him back in 1989.
I was only 18, you know. He was like 21, 22, a little bit older than me.
Not only was LeBron abusive, there was 2 incidents where he had tried to kill her.
The first time, he drove Candace out to a bridge over Interstate 75.
He dangled her by her feet over the bridge and threatened to drop her and kill her if she leaves him.
He said, "You really want to get out? I'll show you." I said, "No, I love you. I was just joking. Please pull me back. I'm not going nowhere."
Candace said the second time he got violent with her is when she refused to have sex with him.
But it's where the incident happened that stops investigators in their tracks.
He drove me up to Billy Goat Hill.
Stay tuned for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
16 years after Vicky Carr disappeared, detectives believe they can finally connect her estranged husband, LeBron Hollingsworth, to the location where her skeletal remains were found.
One of his ex-girlfriends, Candace Reeves, confirms that he took her to Billy Goat Hill. He beats her senseless during this time, and he threatens to kill her.
I had a head full of hair, so he would...
He grabbed your hair?
Yeah, like I was like a Raggedy Ann ball.
He tortures her and beats her and threatens to kill her in the same exact location in which the police find the remains of Vicky.
Do you know why he would choose Billy Goat Hill?
I don't know. I think he likes places where nobody see you or see him doing what he's doing to you.
But he obviously was familiar with Billy Goat Hill when he took you up there.
Oh, Lord. Yep, place of choice.
This is exactly the smoking gun that they need. This shows that he has a pattern, and it also shows that he knows where Billy Goat Hill is and that he threatens women when they attempt to leave him.
The district attorney agrees that Candace's testimony is finally enough to secure a conviction against LeBron.
LeBron is indicted by the grand jury for the murder of Vicky.
When LeBron is extradited back to Chattanooga from Texas, investigators are eager to sit down with him.
I don't know if you remember me, LeBron. My name's Bill Phillips. I talked to you back in 1997.
I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
It's been more than 16 years, but justice has finally caught up with LeBron.
He just couldn't believe that we were still looking at him as a suspect in this case, and, you know, this was pretty much a waste of his time. And so I explained to him that, well, we feel like we have a pretty good case. So, you know, what I can't understand is why your story is Vicky didn't show up this morning to pick me up, when it's obvious. I mean, there's plenty of evidence that Vicky was there that morning.
LeBron still denies seeing Vicky the morning that she went missing.
Vicky didn't ever show up, pick me up.
And he's adamant that he didn't kill her.
Let me tell you something. I'm not no murderer. That's not my demeanor.
He denies ever being abusive to her or any other women.
So if I told you we had 6 or 7 police reports of different women that had some sort of issue with you, whether it be choking, whether it be stalking.
Really? That ain't nothing my style.
He's one of those guys that is never going to take responsibility for what he did. It's just not his personality.
I didn't see me for that late. But for me to sit there and keep on going back and forth with y'all, what? Ain't nothing I can say. I'm being charged with first-degree murder.
Yeah, you've been indicted. You have to be charged at this point.
Oh, well, here we go. I ain't killed nobody. Not at all.
Okay.
On January 6th, 2015, LeBron finally faces the court. Prosecutors begin by addressing the jury.
I ask you now, as you listen to these witnesses, listen closely to what each one of them tells you. And you'll begin to understand how all those pieces fit together.
Prosecutors then lay out their theory of events leading up to Vicky's murder.
Vicky comes to LeBron's house at 5 o'clock in the morning, as usual, to pick him up for work.
The two began arguing, likely because Vicky told him that she was not interested in continuing to work on their marriage.
Vicky telling LeBron that she no longer wants to be in this relationship infuriates him, so much so that the argument turns violent.
Show up, so I didn't. What are you? Give me my key. What are you doing? Give me my key.
He saw women as things that he can control. He was possessive. What was his was only his. He did not want anyone to take anything from him. Because of that, it made him very violent.
You can't just leave me, Vicky.
He stabs Vicky in the neck.
Remarkably, there were no witnesses to the early morning crime. But LeBron knew he needed to move fast to cover up what he'd done.
He wrapped her body up, took her body to the shed, then drove it to Billy Goat Hill, dumped her body.
He puts her in this area where there's a natural ditch, lays her in it, covers her up, puts the tires on top of her, some other debris.
After dumping her body, LeBron wiped down the inside of Vicky's car.
He used the gasoline as a solvent to get rid of the blood stains and hopefully destroy any DNA that may have been left behind.
He then takes her car back to her home, drops it off, and disappears as if nothing ever happened.
For 16 years, LeBron thought he'd gotten away with murder.
He's believing that there's no evidence and no information that connects him to this.
But there's enough evidence to convince the jury.
After deliberating for 11 long hours, the jury finds that LeBron is guilty.
LeBron is found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 22 years. And LeBron will not be eligible for parole.
He'd initially been charged with first-degree murder, but the prosecutors could not prove premeditation, so he received a lesser conviction.
Although it's not the life sentence that many were hoping for, it's just a few years shy of the maximum penalty for second-degree murder.
It was many years. We were very excited that finally LeBron is going to pay for what he did to Vicky. Finally, justice was served.
Is justice so long deferred still justice?
Unfortunately, her family had to wait a really long time to receive it. Her children were just 4 and 9. By the time he was finally convicted, they were adults.
A light was taken from this world when her life was taken. As I've worked on this case, I've really thought she was destined for great things.
Although she's no longer here, her words, her strength, we hope will go out to other women.
If one life is saved, that's what it's all about.
The tragic death of Vicki Hollingsworth is characterized by profound betrayal. With the assistance of detectives and modern technology, dark secrets from the past have been revealed. Despite the time that has passed, the love for Vicki remains strong, keeping her memory alive. The affection for her continues to resonate in the hearts of those who loved her.
Abuse is never okay. If you or someone you love is in an abusive relationship, there is help available. Call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE.
Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
He was a quiet young man longing for connection.
He spent a lot of his free time in his room on the computer.
Are y'all ready?
He had a few friends through his online gaming community.
But he wanted something more.
He decided to try his luck at finding love online.
And one woman stood out from the rest.
She messaged him, and he liked what he saw.
He found his perfect match.
But they would never get their perfect ending.
My son stand at the bottom of the step with blood everywhere.
A 27-year-old man from Garfield Heights, Ohio, has mysteriously disappeared, leaving his family in turmoil as his mother's calls go unanswered. What could have happened under such suspicious circumstances? The unanswered questions weigh heavily on everyone involved, sparking worry and desperation as detectives search for clues. Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast. We will see you in the next episode.